Turkmenistan. Have you heard of that country before? If you haven't, you probably will soon, as an unusual football club is making history by not losing a single match on the way to the championship title. But it may also be tarnishing one of the best sports in the world. What is hidden in the shadow of FC Arkadag's success? Let's find out.
Welcome to Who the F***. Please subscribe to our channel and get to know everyone you really need to meet.
Who do you think you are?
For many of us, general knowledge about Turkmenistan is usually quite limited. It's one of the most secluded and least understood countries in the world. Turkmenistan is a landlocked country in Central Asia, bordered by Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. It's about 10 times the size of Switzerland, but has a smaller population, around 7 million people. This former Soviet satellite has been ruled as an authoritarian dictatorship since gaining independence in 1991. Under the leadership of 3 successive authoritarian presidents, the country has developed a personality cult around its leaders and severely restricted the civil liberties of its citizens. Now, in this not-so-clear and tightly controlled situation, there's this new soccer team called FC Arkadag, started in early 2022 by the former president, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. In their first season, Arkadag won the national championship perfectly, not losing any of the 20 games they played. But there are suspicions going around about them getting special treatment and referee decisions in their favor. Is that really the case? Let's first take a look at who's behind all of this. Originally a dentist, Berdimuhamedov entered politics under the presidency of Niyazov, the man who led Turkmenistan to independence. Upon Niyazov's death in 2006, Berdimuhamedov inherited both the position of absolute leader and the extremely authoritarian and undemocratic methods of his predecessor, in a regime considered one of the most repressive and closed in the world. At the top of the hierarchy, he maintained his position through staged elections that gave him over 90% of the votes. He stayed in power until 2022, when he delegated in favor of his son Serdar, while reserving for himself the role of President of the People's Council. As Berdimuhamedov's name is a bit difficult to pronounce and remember, the former leader goes by the name Arkadag, an honorary title that translates to protector. During his presidency, Berdimuhamedov built a personality cult that included colossal statues of himself and the promotion of his sporting abilities, although there were no solid proofs of his alleged feats. Interestingly, the dictator wasn't particularly into soccer. He leaned more towards cycling and horse racing. But check this out. Something happened in 2013 that makes you question these supposed wins. That spring, Berdimuhamedov was in a horse race and he supposedly won. But right after crossing the finish line, he passed out on his horse. They told everyone there to delete any videos or photos of the accident, and lots of people got in trouble for maybe sneaking out images. State TV only showed the part where he won, conveniently leaving out the part where he collapsed. Doesn't this sound like a carefully planned show of Berdimuhamedov's sports success for propaganda? Because it sure does to me. Throughout his time as president, he was known for cracking down hard on anyone who disagreed and keeping a tight grip on what the media said. Only what he wanted people to know got out. And even today, they're still doing things the same way in the country. All this is happening in a pretty complicated situation. In early 2022, right after stepping down as president, Berdimuhamedov started FC Arkadag, seemingly to keep his cult going. And when it comes to money, well, there's plenty of it. Arkadag also built itself like a fancy city, spending $5 billion on it. It's got top-notch schools, daycares, and super modern hospitals, plus high-tech surveillance and monitoring systems. And it's within this city that houses the new and modern stadium with a capacity of 10,000 spectators. Turns out, Turkmens, like almost everyone else, love football. They have their national championship, the Yokari Liga, top league, where teams from the capital Ashgabat usually dominate. But this year, the new powerhouse has turned everything upside down. Guess who's in charge of everything? Yep, the former president. He took care of it all, from the team uniforms to the badges and logos of FC Arkadag. And get this, with a bunch of carefully chosen star players, Arkadag has been crushing it in the league, winning every game and scoring more than 70 goals. With a fat wallet, Arkadag FC started off big by signing up key players from the Turkmen national team, like Arslan Murad Amanov. What's more, 10 of Turkmenistan's current top players joined the new team before this season. One of them, Didar Durdiev, a forward, said he joined Arkadag because It was an offer too good to pass up. Most of these players used to be on the country's best teams, last year's champ, Ahal, and the runner-up, Altyn Asir. Just a few months after they started, Arkadag started winning and quickly moved up to the top national league, the Yokari Liga. Durdiev said, after winning, "This makes us want to win more. We'll try to get the Turkmenistan Cup." While we're all for the players' winning spirit, it's hard not to raise an eyebrow at how the team was put together. Kinda reminds you of the old days in the Eastern Bloc where the government would assign players to their favorite teams in power. Turkmenistan currently holds the 141st position in the FIFA international ranking, but all that could change very soon if the suspicions turn out to be true. The scorching victory they have shown in their first matches is historic for the country. You see, after their 20th match, the team was already declared winners. At least mathematically. This sudden and total domination has raised some eyebrows among the public, and there's good reason for it. It seems like just having a team of top players isn't the whole story. Fans from other teams are saying that Arkadag benefits from some pretty friendly refereeing, with controversial decisions going in their favor. There are talks of extremely questionable penalties that break ties right at the end of games. Some even say that a match against Sagadam was won 1-0 because Arkadag got a penalty in the 91st minute that shouldn't have been given. And let's not forget the team being admitted to the league at the last minute without going through the lower divisions. They changed the usual 8-team tournament to 9 teams and adjusted the schedule as they pleased. Nobody says these things out loud. Speaking against those in power would be too risky. We need to highlight that FC Arkadag's mysterious success is happening in the context of Turkmenistan's authoritarian political regime. The country ranks pretty low in terms of democracy, currently sitting at 161 out of 167 on the Economist's Democracy Index, showing serious issues with civil and political freedoms. In reality, all of this has killed any real interest in football in Turkmenistan because it's not about the sport anymore. It's just another way to please a self-centered dictator through manipulation and control. But even though we're speaking based on assumptions, I mean, what are the chances of winning every game in your first season? Maybe we can give them a shot to prove themselves in different situations. The thing is, FC Arkadag is a completely new team, so they haven't had many chances to play against teams from other countries and in places where they might face stricter refereeing, hopefully less biased too. But that also sets up a tricky situation. What could happen? Well, we might start worrying about Berdi Muhammadov. Winning the championship title means the club qualifies for the Asian Champions League. There, they'll have to face teams that are less likely to be influenced. As an example, think of a friendly match they played against Beza Dobrdal, a second-division team from North Macedonia, where they drew 1-1. It's the only kind of challenge the team has faced so far. But what will happen when they eventually go up against higher-caliber players, like Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr? Given the circumstances, it wouldn't surprise anyone if the dominance of the regime-backed team continued uncontested indefinitely, especially because, as expected, the National Federation is on board, being a full-fledged member of both FIFA and the Asian Confederation, which will admit them to the Continental Champions League. Considering the country's restrictions on basic human rights, it might not be the top concern for the population, but it's still significant that, in the 21st century, a dictator's grandiose fantasies continue to impact sports in this way. What is clear is that in an authoritarian regime like Turkmenistan's, where there's no genuine democratic debate or checks on executive power, questioning the manipulation of institutions like the National Football League is more challenging. Nobody dares openly criticize Arkadag Club, but somehow everyone knows what's happening. Hopefully, time will prove us wrong and ultimately the club's achievements will be genuine. That's it for now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are we witnessing the new stars of Turkmenistan's football? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for our videos. See you next time.